New breed, global truth.
For many people of the Christian faith, Easter is the most important holiday of the year. It is the culmination of the religious season of Lent and the day on which Christians celebrate the resurrection of Jesus. In addition to its religious importance, Easter is also a popular secular holiday, thanks to its association with the Easter Bunny, colorful decorated eggs, and of course, all that candy. The first recorded celebration of Easter was back in the 2nd century, but it probably goes back even further than that. According to one popular theory, early Christians adopted Easter from a pagan festival celebrating Eostra, the Anglo-Saxon goddess of spring and fertility. The goddess consorted with a hare, which, as the theory goes, was the original inspiration for today's Easter Bunny. But it appears that little evidence exists to support this story. So where did the Easter Bunny actually come from? Rabbits are an ancient symbol of fertility and new life, two ideas strongly associated with spring and with Easter. The connection between rabbits and Easter arose in Protestant Europe in the 17th century and was probably brought to America a century later by German immigrants. But we bet you didn't know that the Easter Bunny isn't the only animal associated with the holiday. In Switzerland, a cuckoo delivers the Easter eggs, while in different parts of Germany, kids wait for the Easter fox, chick, rooster, or stork. Though eggs also symbolize fertility and renewal, they may have become popular on Easter for a more practical reason. For centuries, the Christian church banned eggs along with other foods during Lent, and it became a special treat to eat them again at Easter. Decorating eggs is one of the oldest Easter customs. One of history's most lavish Easter traditions developed in late 19th century Russia, when royalty and other members of high society began giving each other jewel-encrusted eggs as Easter gifts. The man behind these insanely valuable eggs was the artist jeweler goldsmith Peter Carl Fabergé, who was commissioned by Tsar Alexander III to create jeweled Easter eggs for his wife. For most Americans, however, Easter is about the sweet stuff, candy.
They always trying to get them while they're young. Them pagans always going after the children. Now, I'm going to give you a very edifying lesson on Easter. And we're going to bring this together in real time. We're talking about 2025. But first and foremost, in order to understand the present, you got to understand the past. And I'm going to tell you right now, ladies and gentlemen, there's blood sacrifice rituals that's going on in real time to the goddess of fertility, giving reverence to the spring equinox. And we're going to talk about it. Oh, we got some things going on in the news right now and in the media, and we're going to point it out. And we're going to show you how Easter is bringing forth a lot of rituals that y'all see going on television right now. Let's get brothers putting in that work. What is going on, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another broadcast. Peace and blessings to everybody. We got to make sure we get everything working properly. We need our stream deck, man. What's going on with this thing? Let's get it. If y'all like that song right there, you can find that on King Connect's platform, as well as you can find it on his YouTube, as well as his Instagram as well. And I believe you can find that track on Congregation of the Mighty as well. But that joint right there is called High Alert. And that's what we on right now. We on High Alert. We're paying attention to what's going on. That's King Connect featuring Uwitazai. You know, that's one of my tracks right there that I love to bump. It's very, very inspiring and motivating. You know what I'm saying? That's what we do over here. We put out that powerful, uplifting music. But we're talking about Easter. And I think this is very important because a lot of people are falling for the paganism. And it's time that you recognize how these pagan holidays are affecting this total world. the entire social construct. You got to understand what's going on right now. Look, contrary to popular belief, Easter is pagan. Rabbits don't lay eggs, and Christ does not promote Easter whatsoever. It's not promoted in the Bible whatsoever. It's a demonic holiday. And this is the time where they do a lot of rituals and blood sacrifices. Y'all wondering why it's a lot going on in the world with all these mass shootings, all this death, all this racial divide, all this anarchy. You want to know what's happening? I'm going to show you in this video. They're doing Easter blood sacrifices and rituals.
U.S. candy makers produce some 90 million chocolate bunnies and 16 billion jelly beans for Easter each year. Jelly beans were invented in the 17th century, but they only became an Easter candy in the 1930s.
So of course, it's a cash cow to rot the children. You already know they aim at the children, make it nice and fun for them, you know, and so they can induct them into paganism.
After merchants pointed out how much they looked like eggs. Today, more candy is sold for Easter, powerful religious significance to its popular customs. Easter ranks among our most widely celebrated holidays. This spring, sweeten up your celebration with a little history.
Well, you got a little history. They just told you it was pagan.
And some fun Easter facts we bet.
They just told you that they was worshiping the goddess Ishtar. And this is what people do on Easter. They get dressed in their Sunday's best and they go worship Tammuz. And I'm here to inform you exactly what this holiday is all about. Now, I want to show you, brothers and sisters, something, because something happened in the media where Donald Trump had an Easter speech and he had an Easter prayer. And the series of events that followed this prayer, this celebration, is unbelievable. I'm going to show y'all something here. Now, I want everybody to get the likes up on the video. Hit the likes up as you join if you haven't already. Let's go.
Thank you very much. It's a real honor. And we've all worked very hard to get here. And I want to thank you for the tremendous support that we had. Just about 88%. I'd say that's good. I said, why didn't we hit 90? But it's pretty good. And all friends and everybody in this room is a very special friend. I want to pay great homage to the White House. There's no place like it. I've been in many houses. I've seen the nicest of the nice, and there's nothing like it. And really what it represents. And being here with you in the middle of Holy Week as we remember two of the most monumental events in all of.
They calling this Holy Week. Notice he said being here during Holy Week. Now you got to understand that the world powers are pagans. All right. The Idumean Edomites are pagans. So this is a holy week for them. Now, a holy week for them is totally different than a holy week for those who follow the Bible. You know, a holy week for us would be something along the lines of a Passover. But for them, it's a week of rituals. It's a week of sacrifices. It's unholy. Now, I want y'all to hear this very clearly.
Of history, the death and the resurrection of Jesus Christ.
Now, some of y'all believing that Trump is representing Jesus Christ. Now, he's talking about they're celebrating the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ. Now, I want to ask y'all a question, all you Bible scholars and you believers and all you Christians out there. Where in the Bible did Christ tell you to celebrate his resurrection? Show me a holy day that he inked out for us. Or let's just say his disciples. Is there a day where they said we should celebrate a week, a holy week for his resurrection? The answer is no, it's not there. Right? So y'all got to understand that the Jesus that they're serving is not the Jesus of the Bible. They're dealing with Caesar Borgia. And you don't get 3 days from quote unquote Good Friday. They say he died on Friday and was resurrected Sunday. That's not 3 days, ladies and gentlemen. That's 2 days. That's literally 2 days. So, you got to look at the lies that's being told, because the heathens would attempt to change dates and times. Let's go.
I want to thank Pastor Paula White and Reverend Franklin Graham, all of the incredible, respected, highly respected members of clergy and friends of great faith. Many thanks as well to Secretary of State Marco Rubio. It's been fantastic. Many faith leaders that are here tonight. Angel Mom, Patty Morin, who's been through hell. Where's Patty? Patty, stand up, Patty. Please. Yes, her incredible daughter. And
now y'all got to understand, they're having a prayer service on a pagan holiday. I'm going to tell y'all right now, the Most High don't hear none of these people's prayers. None of their prayers are going to be answered. The Most High is not hearing that. The Most High says he frowns upon their feast days. The Bible tells us. Let's get to some scriptures here, because, this is the stuff that confuses the public and makes people believe that America is somehow following the steps of righteousness. But they're actually putting other gods before him. A star, that's what God is that they're serving. Deuteronomy 12:29 says, take heed to thyself, thou be not snared by following them, and thou not inquire after their gods. Don't get caught up in a snare. Don't get caught up in Babylon thinking that these people are righteous, thinking that they following Jesus Christ, because they're not. They're pagans. And their feast days, the Most High frowns upon them. The scriptures go on to tell us, because this is very important stuff right here, because I want you to understand that people are getting killed on this day, and on Easter, and the week leading up, and the week following Easter. Pardon me. The scriptures tells us in Ezekiel 8:13, he brought me to the door of the gate of the Lord's house, and behold, there sat women weeping for Tammuz. What do you think Trump is doing right now? He's trying to get some sympathy for this woman. Tammuz is a god, a false god, and women would weep. There's so many people going to church on Sunday just to cry, just to weep. Getting caught up in emotionalism. You can't get caught up in emotionalism. Tammuz was a god that invoked strong emotions out of women. Ezekiel 8:13, he brought me to the door of the gate of the Lord's house, and behold, there sat women weeping for Tammuz. Let's go to chapter 7. Let's go to Kings 7:1. And Jeroboam ordained a feast in the 8th month, which he had devised of his own heart. Of his own heart. See, that's a king creating his own festival, not commanded by God. Donald Trump talking about it's a holy week. That's a festival not created by God. The Most High is not hearing the prayers of America right now till they turn from their wicked ways. Let's go.
Your daughter's looking down on Patty today. This was some day for you, and we appreciate it, Patty, and we're all with you 100%. And you are indeed an angel mom. Thank you very much. And a very special thanks to Charles Billingsley for the magnificent performance. Thank you, Charles. That was nearly 2,000 years ago during the sacred week, the living Son of God entered Jerusalem.
This sacred week. Now, notice how Donald Trump is about to butcher the Bible. Where in the scriptures did they tell you that this was a sacred week? It's not in the Bible, y'all. Listen up.
In triumph, soon after, the Savior of mankind, who brought truth and light into the world, was betrayed, arrested, and tried, beaten, and nailed to a cross and crucified. For our sake, he gave up his life, and as the very great Reverend Billy Graham once said, God proved his love on the cross.
Billy Graham was a false prophet. Billy Graham was somebody who wanted nothing but them dollars. He was a prosperity preacher, and he's basically the guy who started prosperity gospel. That whole ministry, Billy Graham is like up there. So Billy Graham was a crook with a book, just like Donald Trump is right now. Let's go.
When Christ hung and bled and died, it was God saying to the world, I love you.
What scripture is that?
Those are beautiful words from a great man, Franklin, right? A great man, Franklin's incredible father. I went to Yankee Stadium with my father many years ago to watch your father. You think we have big crowds
Now, make no mistake about it. We are grateful that Christ paid the ultimate price, and the Most High, gave his one begotten son to save the world. But he didn't do it just because, he didn't do it so we can have grace to follow pagan satanic holidays. Let's go.
Today, it was some crowd. Never forget it. So thank you very much. And thank you for being here, Franklin, very much. 3 day, your father would be.
Yeah, Trump reverenced Billy Graham. Billy Graham was definitely a 33rd degree Luciferian, a Mason. Absolutely. Let's go.
Very proud of you, by the way. Incredible job you did. 3 days later, Christ's followers found the empty tomb. Jesus had defeated darkness and death and promised new life to all of humankind. And that's what we celebrate each year at Easter as we joyfully proclaim on Sunday, he is risen. The death and resurrection of Jesus.
The pagans always worship on Sundays. The heathens don't really know what day he rose or none of that. Pagans worship the sun. It's sun worship. And I'm going to show y'all what happened. And we're going to go back to this speech. But I want to show y'all what happened a day after their so-called Holy Week. A day after. Look at this sacrifice that took place in FSU, where this young man by the name of Ignor Phoenix. Now, mind you, Sunday worship is pagan. The Phoenix is a pagan goddess. I don't know what kind of sleeper cell crash out dummy this is. This little animal, this little thug right here on your screen that went and put hot ones in all of those kids in FSU. But I want you to pay attention to something. There's a scripture right there. Jeremiah 51:20 was posted on his Instagram. You are my war club, my weapon for battle. With you, I shatter nations. With you, I destroy kingdoms. Like the phoenix rises through the ashes. Now, I want y'all to pay attention to this. Right after their so-called Holy Week, right near Easter, this little maniac allegedly takes his mother's gun, who's a police officer, a young man who was trained by sheriffs, spent a lot of time in the sheriff's department. We're talking about a 20-year-old, decides to go to FSU and start eliminating students. The day after Trump has this damn Easter prayer service. Now, I don't know about y'all, brothers and sisters, but I don't believe in coincidences. And it seems like they're trying to sow a lot of racial discord within society right now. Now, let's go back to Trump. Let's go back to him. We got to hear this speech that he had, and there's more we got to discuss, because I got to show you that Easter is a time of ritual and blood sacrifice. Let's go.
The essence of the Christian faith, whether rich or poor, healthy or sick, young or old, or in times of peace or war, Christians everywhere find solace and hope in the knowledge that Christ died for them.
Yeah, that scripture that young man posted definitely sounds like race war material. It says he destroys nations and kingdoms. So I want y'all to know that Satan is all about racial divide. Make no mistake about that. Let's go.
And that they could be united with him in heaven. And that's what we want. That's what we all want. The miracles of Holy Week set in motion
They're talking about some Holy Week. Where is this scripturally? And I'm going to tell you, the heathens, they're afraid right now. All the celebrities, they're praying right now. All of a sudden, they're taking pictures with prayer hands. They're wearing their crosses, their pagan crosses around their neck because they're upset that they sold their souls. They're upset that their souls are gone and they're trying to get them back. So now all of a sudden, all these hypocrites who've sold their souls and decided to be tools for the shadow government, for the powers that be, for the Illuminati, now all of a sudden, these guys are trying to talk holy and they're praying to go to heaven. No, you're not going to go to heaven. Look what y'all doing to the children of Israel. Look what you're doing to our people. Look how you're racially dividing the country. Look how the inflation is terrorizing homes or tearing apart homes, rather. Nah, y'all refuse to give people back what they deserve. It's up for y'all. The Most High is finna deal with y'all. He's finna judge y'all. Y'all not going to the kingdom of heaven. Y'all ain't gonna have no part in it because y'all are evil and wicked. And now y'all want to talk about some Holy Week. The Most High hates the traditions of men. He hates these so-called holidays that y'all celebrate. Let's go.
Transformation in human existence. Countless millions of Americans have been moved by Christ's example to heal the sick, defend their families, lift up their communities, and make our country stronger, better, and greater than ever before. With God's grace over these past 3 months, and we have had a great 3 months. They say maybe the best 3 months.
Man, you got to be real careful with these strong right Christians because they like to cherry pick the Bible. And look, the Bible says he who remembers Christ as the scriptures have read shall have everlasting life. Not Caesar Borgia. Not the Jesus that y'all want to just accept all lifestyles. Not the passive Jesus. But we're talking about the Christ that went into the synagogues and was beating people with sticks because they had turned his father's house to a den of thieves. That's the Christ that we're going to follow. The one who would charge the rich. Donald Trump is a billionaire, but the people, the middle class is being destroyed and the poor is suffering. You got homeless relocation plans and homeless have nowhere to go. They're just disappearing off the streets. If Christ was walking this earth, he would have you sell everything. He would have Donald Trump sell everything he got to the homeless. He would charge the homeless. People get too caught up in this religion. But the Bible really speaks for itself. And Romans 12:2, it says, and be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewal of your mind. That means you got to reject worldly influences. Stay away from idolatry. Stop following the ways of the heathens. Let's go.
Ever for a president and an administration. It was really great. We have fantastic people, and they're people that believe like you do. But we've achieved more than most administrations they've been saying do in 4 years or even 8 years, just in a short period of time. And I think there's a whole new spirit in our country, and I think there's a whole new respect for our country. Our country was not respected 5 months ago, 6 months ago, although I think November 5th did a lot to get that respect, Franklin. I think it was...
Well, there's no respect coming from China right now. And don't let Donald Trump fool you. Babylon is falling. According to the book of Revelations, it tells you that the merchants of the earth will stop purchasing goods from Babylon. And that's what's happening right now. Trump is being used to destabilize the economy. The stock market is low, real low. And nobody wants to do business with America. You got BRICS outsourcing the dollar. The dollar is low as it's ever been. Don't let these people fool you. America is losing power, and that's biblical prophecy. But if these false prophets, these actors can continue to manipulate and warp your mind, you're going to stay in a burning ship. And that's just the facts.
I think it was a big day. I hope it's going to go down as one of the most important days in the history of our country, November 5th. We're restoring our prosperity, securing our borders. We're rebuilding the U.S. military. I did it once, now I'm going to do it again, and even more so.
Nobody wants to join the U.S. military. They're going to have to draft people. Nobody wants to go to Iran and fight those people. So all of these are lies. And they're using fake Jesus to reel you back into the lie.
We're standing up for a persecuted Christian and so many Christians that have been persecuted all over the world. So horrible what's happened. And defending religious liberty. We had nobody fighting for our Christians in other parts of the world that were being so incredibly destroyed, killed.
The Christian church is destroying itself. You got all the male preachers dressing in tight ass clothes looking effeminate. The Christian church is a laughing stock right now. It's nothing like, the followers of old. Nothing. You got Kurt Franklin in here preaching and twerking, twerking and preaching, preaching and twerking, twerking and preaching. Like, what are we talking about? You got Kenneth Copeland mutating on stage, turning into reptiles every other week. You got pastors that are filling the women up in the pews. You got people going to church as a form of escapism, and no scriptures are being taught. People don't even bring the Bible to church half the time. So what is Trump talking about? What is he talking about? Christians being persecuted. The Christians are lackadaisical, and they don't have any fight in them right now. Most of the pastors are not telling you what's going on in the world. They're soothsaying, trying to keep you comfortable. Let's go.
Injured, hurt, but they died. So many died. You wouldn't think.
He act like this the Baptist wars. Ain't nobody running around stoning Christians. That's not what's happening in this country. Christians are accepting all lifestyles nowadays. The secular realm and the church are pretty much the same thing. Let's go.
I think that could happen in this time, in this sort of modern time. I proudly created the White House Faith Office and a brand new DOJ task force to eradicate anti-Christian bias. And there is anti-Christian. You don't hear about that very much, but there is anti-Christian bias. We're stopping the radical indoctrination in our schools and supporting school choice. And we're going to be moving our education.
No, what they're doing is they're controlling the narratives in the schools. They're getting rid of critical race theory. They're getting rid of some of the history of our people as well. And that's what they're doing in the schools. They want us to just move forward in a brave new world. That's what's happening right now. They want us to embrace artificial intelligence. They want us to forget about slavery. They want us to forget about the European conquest. They want us to forget about that. That's what's really happening right now. Let's go.
Department and various educational departments down to the states where they belong. We spend more money per pupil than any country in the world, and we don't get the answer. We are in the lower tier of 40 nations, the 40 nations that they rate. And I think when we do this, it's going to make a tremendous difference. Think of it. We spend more per pupil than any country in the world, and yet it's Denmark and Norway, Sweden.
Yes, people are asking, Breed, haven't Trump got rid of some of the letter teachings that's going on in the schools? No, this stuff is still going on. It's still going on. Now, in some of the major universities, There's been some changes made as far as critical race theory and things of that nature. But in these elementary schools, 5th, 6th grade, sex education is still weirdo stuff being taught in these schools without no type of persecution coming from the law. Let's be clear about it. Babylon is not moving in the right direction. The media just can make it look that way. Because you may not see as much media coverage on these things doesn't mean it's not happening. They're controlling both sides. Let's go. I recommend homeschooling your children. Let's go.
Even China does,
unless you can find a decent school. Let's go.
very well in the top 10. And so we can't blame it on size. We're big. China is really big. And we're going to be there. We're going to be there soon when the states run their education department instead of some bureaucrat in Washington. It's going to make a very big, I think it's going to make a very big difference. And I also, and this was a very easy one for me, I guess some people still fight it because I saw on television today a Democrat congressman fighting so hard. I banned men from women's sports. Seems easy.
And of course, these are the things that we agree with. Men should not be in women's sports, but that's neither here nor there. Trump is calling this a holy week. You know, it's a time for prayer. You know, now I want to show y'all something. The truth about why you seeing so many mass shootings, why you seeing all these things going on. I want y'all to understand what's really taking place. Hold on, that's the wrong screen right there. Hold on. I want to go to Chat GPT because they're going to give you some history because for whatever reason, Google is no longer a very reliable search engine. But there's something I want to read about the history of Easter, right? Something about the history of Easter that you need to see. Let me see, where is it? You know, I'm gonna just read it to you, brothers and sisters, and what I'll do is I'll share the pagan origins from the video I had. One moment. Matter of fact, I can read this right now. Sorry for the delay. Christian significance of the crucifixion. We're going to start off the origin of Easter. I want to just read this to y'all real quick. So y'all can understand why you seeing people just getting shot up, schools going into chaos. You know what I'm saying? Racial divide. Why is all this happening around a so-called Holy Week? If America is so blessed, if it's the home of the brave, land of the free, and it's such a God-fearing country, and everything is going in the right direction, why is all this damn death, violence, and pain is going on in America right now as we speak? That's the question. Well, let's go into some scriptures. I want to talk about blood sacrifice in the ancient religions. Blood sacrifice has been a key component of many ancient religious practices, often to appease deities, ensure fertility or successful harvest. This is why they're calling it a holy week. I want y'all to be able to read along with me. I'm not sure why I'm trying to present this to y'all, but here we go. I'm gonna share this with y'all. No, that's still the wrong one. Because I want y'all to be able to read along because reading is fundamental. Let's talk about Easter. Put a 1 in the chat if y'all can see the screen. Let's read, right? Let's learn something about why is people getting shot up in schools? Why is it racial divide? Why is all of this death happening right now if it's supposed to be a holy week according to the American government? All right, so I see the ones on the screen. Perfect. It says Easter is the culmination of Holy Week. This is the Christian significance, which includes Good Friday, the day commemorating Jesus' crucifixion, a blood sacrifice central to Christian. Let's highlight that. A blood sacrifice central to Christian theology. In Christian belief, Jesus is the Lamb of God, sacrificed to atone of humanity's sins. The ideas draw on early Jewish sacrificial traditions. Now, y'all got to understand, for this week, it's all about blood sacrifices. Now, we got a guy named Ickner Phoenix that shoots up FSU a day after the presidential Easter prayer, going into Good Friday. This is paganism. You're living in a pagan country. Now, let's continue to read. Blood sacrifice in ancient religions. Blood sacrifice has been a key component of many ancient religious practices, often to appease deities, ensure fertility or successful harvest, cleanse sins, or bring blessings. And that's what you have going on right now. They're trying to appease their deities. And they're going through a purging process. They're trying to ensure successful harvest. And we're not talking about successful harvest for the American citizens. No. We're talking about harvest unto themselves. We're talking about the rich getting richer. The Romans and Greeks like to sacrifice to their gods to make more abundance. I'm telling y'all, man, you got to be educated on this. Goes on to say, ancient, and it's going, let's do the Greeks and Romans. Greeks and Romans offered animal sacrifices during festival and rites. Celtic and Norse performed ritualistic animal and sometimes human sacrifices to gods during seasonal festivals. See, these are not the Israelites. These are not the ancient Hebrews. These are the Celtics and the Norse, the Greeks and the Romans. So sacrifices got to be made, and they like to do it on a grand scale. Look, it goes on and says, the Passover in Judaism, which coincides with Easter, no, it doesn't, involves the sacrifice of a lamb that commemorates the Israelites' liberation from Egypt. Jesus' Last Supper and thought to be a Passover meal. That's what we're supposed to be celebrating, Passover, not Easter. Telling you. Now we're going to go back to the speech. I just had to interrupt with the information. Let's go.
And I signed an executive order making it official and the official policy of the United States that God created two. Will always be in God we trust. We will never change.
What God are they talking about? It's in God we trust. What God? Are we talking about the God on the dollar bill where it says in God we trust, or the Most High God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob? Why he not calling the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob? There's many gods.
Joy and our strength. America has put our trust in God. It will always be in God we trust.
What God y'all talking about? Y'all done the real biblical Israelites dirty. You done God's people foul. Y'all continue to give the Most High's people an unfair disadvantage. The people who was given the oracles of God are continually shunned, are continually disregarded. When it comes to comprehensive plans, you never focus on the people who built the country. What God are y'all trusting in? What God are these people trusting in? Talk to me, y'all. What God is Donald Trump talking about? It can't be the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Because the people are still mourning. When the wicked bear rule, the people mourn. When the righteous are in rule, the people rejoice. We're still mourning. What God do y'all trust in?
We will never change that. You know, there's a movement to change it. It will not happen.
It's a movement to change what? He's talking about what they call in wokeism, because they've managed a way to demonize being woke. Don't y'all see what they did when the whole woke movement was coming? They demonized that. They associated wokeness with everything that's unlawful, deplorable, and despicable. Everything that's sinful, they equivalated that to wokeism. When really being woke is being conscious. Being woke is seeing what's going on. Being woke is knowing your history, knowing who you are. I'm telling you, man, these people are crafty, y'all. They are crafty.
We won't let that happen. Can you imagine a movement to change that? Robert, you're not happy about that when you hear that. Look at him. He's getting angrier and angrier.
And you got to understand, they control both sides. The conservatives are acting as if they're righteous, but you're doing nothing for the children of the light. Y'all not telling the world who God's chosen people are. Let's go.
Angry. We can get angry too, can't we, huh? No, it's never going to change. And with God's help, we can overcome every challenge, triumph over every evil, and restore the spirit of faith in the United States for generations to come.
No, we need to have faith in the Most High, not the United States. Because the United States is a ticking time bomb because they was built upon blood. The United States dropped a bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the only country to drop a nuclear warhead on somebody. And then they continue to bully other nations. This country doesn't love its homeless, and it doesn't look out for the people who've built the country. So I don't know why these people are so arrogant and puffed up and full of pride, thinking that they of the Most High. Celebrating this. Now, this is being done at an Easter conference after an Easter prayer with all of these pastors and reverends who ain't representing the Most High for real.
We have a very simple slogan, make America great again. And that's exactly.
Tell me when America was great. Tell me, make America great again. When was America great? Is it Jim Crow? Was it good in Jim Crow? Was America great in slavery? How about when Christopher Columbus and his band of thugs came over here and pillaged the Indians? Was it great then? See, to them, it was great when they can bully us and we wouldn't fight back. It was great when they can usurp authority over us and we were not proficient in how the law worked. That's when it was great. When they can tell us to move out the way and lay hands on us and we'll just do it without pushing back. That's when America was great. America was great when we didn't have no knowledge of the judicial system. America was great when we didn't understand how the credit system worked. And now you got brothers know how to get their credit together off the quick. Now they're going to get rid of the damn credit system. Now they're going to come up with something else. They're going to keep on pushing. They're going to keep moving the goalposts every time we figure something out. Every time the children of the light figure out how to navigate through the pitfalls of this system, they're going to come up with another ploy, another tactic. Make America great. You tell me when it was great. Yeah. Great at creating poverty. Great at creating misappropriated wealth. Great at, missing children. How is America? When was America great? I want to ask, where are all the children that are missing? Where are they at? Somebody tell me where all the missing children at. Somebody tell me where all the missing women are at. Yeah, America, we got great at what? Hiding the truth? Exactly. Stealing ideas, stealing inventions. Or how about when they was having Sunday school? How about when they were having Sunday school and they were lynching black folks? And we were swinging in the summer breeze while y'all were making postcards about it. Was it great then? When y'all was having picnics, sitting there while we was swinging from trees and y'all had y'all blankets out in the grass because a black man even looked the direction of a white family? When was it great? Somebody tell me, when was America great? I'm trying to figure this out. Was it the 90s? When we had Biden crime law, when we was incarcerated expeditiously? Or was it the 80s when it was the crack era, the crack epidemic, and it was a war on drugs, and our mothers, aunties, uncles were strung out? When was America like this is what I want. I want Trump to give us an era when America was great. And great for who? Who was it great for? And see, that's the one question a lot of quote unquote black conservatives can't answer it either. They get baffled. They get baffled. That's right. 2 Corinthians 4:4. The God of this world has blinded the minds of unbelievers so that they cannot see the light of the gospel of the glory of Christ, who is the image of the Most High. Exactly. Right. They want to see this false Jesus, fake Jesus. Somebody said, when was it great? When a little boy allegedly whistled at a white woman and he got his face mutilated? When he got killed in the most barbaric way possible? When, I mean, make it great. When? How? How it's going to be great when y'all still haven't sat down and came up with a plan to do something for the people that you done wrong? Y'all understand the Most High is going to judge this place because of that reason. Because they have not right their wrongs. The Most High is going to deal with this place because the kings of this earth won't do right by his people. And they're going to keep celebrating pagan traditions and festival days. They're going to keep celebrating wickedness. They're going to keep doing their blood sacrifices.
Exactly what we're doing. We're making America great again. And I like to add that I really believe greater than ever before. So once again, let me wish you all a very joyful and blessed Easter. And I would now like to ask Pastor Jensen Franklin, a supporter right from day one, he's been here, I think, Paula, from the first moment that we.
So he says, Happy Easter. He's going to put another false prophet on stage to celebrate Easter. But we already know what Easter is about. We know what it's about. Hold on, let me share this with y'all for y'all just joining. This satanic Easter festival day that they like to celebrate. Hold on, let me pull this up. Y'all give me a minute. This thing is kind of tweaking right now. Let me see here. Let's see, let's pull that up. One moment. I don't know what in the world. What happened to the video, bro? All right, hold on, y'all. Y'all give me, there you go.
Religious season of Lent. For many people of the Christian faith, Easter is the most important holiday of the year. It is the culmination of the religious season of Lent and the day on which Christians celebrate the resurrection of Jesus. In addition to its religious importance, Easter is also a popular secular holiday, thanks to its association with the Easter Bunny, colorful decorated.
Now pay attention to what they're saying.
Easter is
Listen to this.
The most important holiday of the year. It is the culmination of the religious season of Lent and the day on which Christians celebrate the resurrection of Jesus. In addition to its religious importance, Easter is also a popular secular holiday, thanks to its association with the Easter Bunny, colorful decorated eggs, and of course, all that candy. The first recorded celebration of Easter was back in the 2nd century, but it probably goes back even further than that. According to one popular theory, early Christians adopted Easter from a pagan festival celebrating Easter.
Early Christians adopted from what?
Festival celebrating
From a pagan festival celebrating Estreth. And who is that? Look at this. Some witch, some flying ass witch with a bunch of naked ass babies and rabbits around her. Some goddess of fertility.
Early Christians adopted Easter from a pagan festival.
Early Christians adopted it from a pagan festival. Pagan festival. So guess what Donald Trump is celebrating? Guess what you're going to be celebrating if you go to Easter Sunday? You're going to be celebrating the goddess Ishtar. Ladies and gentlemen, by show of ones, you ain't no pagan. By show of ones, you ain't no pagan. Because if you go into these churches and you out here weeping, you wearing your Sunday's best, you out here in these churches, you guess what? You're participating in a pagan festival. If you take your children Easter egg hunting, you're participating in a pagan festival.
Celebrating Eostra, the Anglo-Saxon goddess of spring and fertility. The goddess consorted with a hare, which...
Look at this witch, Eostra. Eostra, the spring and fertility. See, they do their blood sacrifices to get a better harvest, a new harvest, more riches, more success. And it also keeps the people blind when they pull off these rituals.
The goddess consorted with a hare, which...
The goddess consorted with a hare.
As the theory goes, was the original inspiration for today's Easter Bunny. But it appears that little evidence exists to support this story. So where did the Easter Bunny actually come from? Rabbits are an ancient symbol of fertility and new life.
It's a fertility goddess. In some customs, they worship the woman's womb in Easter. You know, in Islam, they deal with the Kaaba stone in Mecca. Let's go.
Two ideas strongly associated with spring and with Easter.
Spring is the real New Year, in case you don't know. The New Year is not January 1st. Spring is the New Year. But these people are doing their rituals right around spring. All the way up into May 5th. I'm telling you, from now to about May 5th, you're going to see some rituals. This is what we call the Beltane ritual. So don't be surprised. Mark my words, you've heard it here. With the next week or so, these next couple of weeks, you're going to see some bizarre things happening in the media. You're going to see some rituals take place. You're going to see some people get eliminated, and they're going to be rituals. They're going to be sacrifices. All the way into what they call the Beltane ritual. And I'm going to show y'all what that is too, because that's what's next. That's what the next lead up is.
The connection between rabbits and Easter arose in Protestant Europe in the 17th century and was probably brought to America a century later by German immigrants. But we bet you didn't know that the Easter Bunny isn't the only animal associated with the holiday. In Switzerland, a cuckoo delivers the Easter eggs, while in different parts of Germany, kids wait for the Easter fox, chick, rooster, or stork. Though eggs also symbolize fertility and renewal, they may have become popular on Easter for a more practical reason. For centuries, the Christian church banned eggs along with other foods during Lent, and it became a special treat to eat them again at Easter.
So they banned these certain foods just so they can have them on Easter. So you can appreciate them more, right?
It's during Lent, and it became a special treat to eat them again at Easter. Decorating eggs is one of the oldest Easter customs. One of history's...
Rabbits don't push eggs out their ass, y'all. There's something wrong with that. Rabbits give birth.
Most lavish Easter traditions developed in late 19th century Russia, when royalty and other members of high society began giving each other jewel-encrusted eggs as Easter gifts.
And that's what they're doing in the office. This is what they're doing in the White House. And when March 5th hit, they're going to be doing all kind of bonfires at the White House in different parts of the world. The rich going to come together. They're going to have all these elaborate parties. We talking about your Rockefellers, your Rothschilds, the Trumps, even your Obamas. They all go to these elaborate parties with the Rothschilds, and they have bonfires to celebrate the Beltane Festival. And they trade expensive eggs with each other, diamond encrusted. This is what they really doing behind the scenes, but y'all see them talk about Jesus in the public. Meanwhile, they sitting there choreographing, you know what I'm saying, mass shootings and how to spin the world out of control and how to get order out of chaos. That's what's really going on. But you know what I'm saying? Nowadays, man, I ain't gonna lie, YouTube done got trash. I ain't even lying. You can't even hear nobody talking about this stuff no more. Nobody even bringing that fire to these elites no more. Everybody's scared to talk about what's really happening. These rituals and sacrifices.
The man behind these insanely valuable eggs was the artist, jeweler, goldsmith Peter Carl Fabergé, who was commissioned by Tsar Alexander III to create jeweled Easter eggs.
That's Alexander III. He was a Roman conqueror. You think Donald Trump and them don't know that Tsar Alexander III made the Easter holiday prevalent in their time? You think this is their ancestors, bruh? Y'all think they celebrating the same Jesus Christ you celebrating? Hell no. They have whitewashed the scriptures and everything. I mean, you got to look at this. This is their ancestor. This might be Trump's third, fourth granddaddy or something, bro. Alexander the Third, the Alexanders was conquering our people. But they got the nerve. They was conquering our people, but they got the nerve to delineate our holidays. Even though this ain't one of ours, we should be celebrating Passover. Let's go.
Eggs for his wife. For most Americans, however, Easter is about the sweet stuff. Candy.
Because they going after them while they're young. That's what them pagans and heathens do. They go after young children. So they can get them to following their pagan ways and their traditions. Got them searching in the backyard for an egg that somehow came out of a rabbit's behind, and they coloring them, and then they got to go hide them and search for them. Y'all don't think that's weird? There's a goddess involved in that.
U.S. candy makers produce some 90 million chocolate bunnies and 16 billion jelly beans for Easter each year. Jelly beans were invented in the 17th century, but they only...
Ladies and gentlemen, get the likes up on the video. Let's go, let's go. Let's hit the likes on the video.
They became an Easter candy in the 1930s after merchants pointed out how much they looked like eggs. Today, more candy...
How the pagans do. Hey, you want some candy? Yeah, you know, we got an Easter egg for you. Yeah, come on down to our church. That's how the pagans do. Luring people in, luring children and kids in. Somebody says, I fight for Christ because look what he did for us. Honestly, anyone going against him needs to wake up and see that Christ's name is the only name demons run from. That's a fact. But you got to understand also that these heathens don't celebrate the real Christ. They celebrate Caesar Borgia. And Caesar Borgia was a war criminal. There's a book called Triptych of Prisoners. Caesar Borgia was dealing with his sister Lucretia. And he was, homosexual as well, bisexual. And he was a warmongerer. Done all kind of insidious acts. And that's who they propped up. Leonardo da Vinci painted him as Jesus Christ. Yeah, Caesar Borgia is their Jesus. That's the Jesus they follow. That's why they was mad at Russia for going into the Black Madonna. They was mad at Russia for pulling out some truth. Let's go.
Candy is sold for Easter than any other holiday, except for Halloween. And more than 88% of American parents prepare Easter baskets for their kids. From its powerful religious significance
to
its popular customs, Easter ranks among our most widely celebrated holidays. This spring, sweeten up your celebration with a little history and some fun Easter facts we bet you didn't know.
Man, that's crazy. Yeah, that's why the scriptures say, remember Christ as the scriptures have read, and you shall have everlasting waters. We don't serve no pagan Jesus, and we don't serve no pagan holidays. But you know, ladies and gentlemen, I thought I just bring this video to y'all's perspective, man. Stay away from these satanic pagan holidays, man, because this would happen right after this pagan speech from Donald Trump. This FSU student crashed out, allegedly got his mother's gun, young man named Ignor Phoenix, and just start blasting up a school. I'm going to tell you right now, man, sacrifices and rituals are written all over that, but you're going to see much more in up and coming days. Now, if this video informed you, feel free to support via Cash App. New Breed Global Truth 77 is the Cash App. Any donations is highly appreciated. Consider following me on Patreon, because some of this material you ain't going to be able to stay on this platform, because I like to bring a lot of truth, historical facts, what's going on in modern times and everything. And also they're saying that another aircraft just fell out in Nebraska. Look, I mean, you can't make this stuff up right now. Hold on. We can't even close yet, because that might be an Easter ritual right there. We can't even close yet because of that. We have to check that. They saying it's another plane crash in Nebraska. I don't see that. Who said that? Come on, man. Don't troll us now. Don't troll us now. It wouldn't surprise me, because it seemed like planes are crashing every other day. And get the likes up on the video. Somebody said 3 dead. I sent you the info. Man, I'm telling you, we may have to talk about it. We might have to talk about that in an upcoming video, but we're going to stick the topic on this. Everybody feel free to share this video. Get the likes up on the video. Hey, one love to y'all. Y'all be blessed. Shalom and peace.